Coming up on Inside the Green Room, how Joel Embiid is playing like an MVP, the trade chatter getting louder, and how I avoided history.
Back with a new episode of Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. You can find us on the SiriusXM app, and this episode you can also find on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Subscribe, rate, review, all that fun stuff. So make sure you keep following the show. On today's show, we got to talk about the trading deadline coming up. Ben Simmons, a little Tobias Harris chatter as well. But the big man on campus, and the big man on campus for a while, Danny, his name, Joel Hakeem Olajuwon.
Oh, yeah?
Embiid.
That's his
name.
We
saw what we did in Houston. Or Joel Nowitzki Embiid. We've seen what he's been up to. He's been going absolutely crazy. He's setting a franchise record for 30-point games on the road. Can you compare what you're seeing from Joel this year versus last year?
Yeah, somewhat. I think last year was an unbelievable year because it wasn't like there was any slow phases. I think early in the year, it was a little slow start for him because he had the knee injury. He had some injuries. Also, had COVID, was out. We were still 8-2, but he was playing well, but he wasn't playing as high of a level as last year. Last year, it was throughout the whole year until he took that month off. That month, he was consistent throughout the whole year. But as of late, he's been on the same dominant tear. And it's hard to compare, but he's back at that level to where he wanted to be from last year. It's just kind of picked up. It took him a little while to pick it back up to where he left off from last year, coming into this year. So, obviously finding rhythm, building rhythm when we have guys out, in and out, COVID protocols, and Ben not playing, it's a different type of adjustment. So it took some change, not just for him, but for everybody. And, I think we're seeing the potential this team could have.
I'm not of the camp that the team is better without Ben Simmons, but I do see elements where Joel Embiid himself can be better than he was last year without Ben, because he can operate with a lot more space, and you're seeing him now put the ball on the ground even more, get into the rack. I don't even know if you could comment on that earnestly, but I think it's a fair point. I think the space that it provides him has allowed him to just be a terror.
I agree. I don't think we're better without him, but I think certain people have gotten opportunities to be better and do better because of a different type of lineup spacing, opportunity. Some people have hurt, from it. But I think with putting 4 shooters around Joel, it makes it harder to double team. But you still at some point have to put somebody in dunker. But Matisse in there, the way he's been playing down there and then finishing at the rim, it is making it very difficult. And I just think his mindset of going quick, beating the double teams, and playing the inside-out game, reposting, finding guys, passing, being a willing passer, and being a better passer within the double teams have made him extremely, hard to guard.
We saw Dirk Nowitzki recently got his statue in Dallas, and then a lot of people came out with their names of top international players like Tim Duncan, as I mentioned before, Hakeem Olajuwon. You've played with Tim Duncan, played with Tony Parker. As you've seen Tim Duncan and you've seen Joel Embiid, are you starting to see some similarities? And I imagine he's going to end up being he has to end up being a top 5 international player of all time.
For sure. Somebody asked me that recently, man. They're actually complete opposites, only in the fact that they're both very skilled and they win and they were dominant. And I think they're one of the best at the position. But the way they operate are 2 different total, packages. Like Joel handles the ball, shoots a jumper, mid-range step-backs, fadeaways, and can be a powerful force down low. Timmy was a fundamental, type of guy. He didn't do as much of that. And he was also, obviously Joel's becoming that, but they're both defensively, I guess, really good at protecting the rim. But I think Timmy was more of a passing big, as he got a little older, but he was always a great passer. But they do different things very differently when you look at their games and their skill set. But the fact that the work ethic is there, the fact that they are dominant and very good, and they can dominate a game and win games on both ends of the floor, I think is probably the only thing I see that is in common.
2 things that Joel Embiid does better than Tim Duncan. And I know you're friends with Tim. I know you've won a title with Tim.
Yes.
But don't get, this is
2
an obvious fact. Two things for sure, hands down, no question.
Okay,
Shooting
well, I mean,
threes.
I got shooting threes, but
Three.
don't sleep. Timmy could shoot threes, but I got Timmy toward
Shoot.
the end of his career, so I didn't get the scoring Timmy. So for me, I think Joel is more of a natural scorer, if that makes sense. So I guess shooting threes is that. So because he can shoot threes, he's a better scorer because he can shoot it better. But what was your second?
Oh, you about to get aggregated for that one now. Shoots threes better and also talks better trash. That's hands down not even a question.
Hey, don't sleep on Tim. You heard the stories of Tim Duncan. He has subtle but very effective trash talking in his game, and it works.
Oh.
Joel's a troller, but Timmy he's got a little. Said it's subtle, but you heard KG talking about how Timmy used to talk trash to him. It hits home. But yeah, Joel's probably a better trash talker and probably
benefits of doing the show with a 13-year veteran. Maybe by the end of the show, we'll talk about some of Tim Duncan's trash talk. And speaking of trash talk, saw a lot of it on the internet last week as Danny had somewhat of a historic performance reversed. We'll talk about that next, and of course, the other guys on the team who are filling their max salary cap space. Must talk about that too. Back with more Inside the Green Room. That's Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. In this segment that we've been doing for the beginning of this year so far, we always try to find out why Danny Green is trending on Twitter. And so last week, they were playing in Orlando, and Danny went trending because he had the quote-unquote Snell game, a game where you play up to 20 minutes or a little bit more than 20 minutes, and you have 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 blocks, 0 steals. I found it ironic, Danny, that last year when we were doing the show, you complained, or not, you voiced your concerns that your steals and your blocks were getting accredited to Matisse Thybulle, to Ben Simmons. And when you need one in the baddest way, because ain't nobody trying to have a Snell game, you ended up getting it from Andre Drummond. Give me the details, bro.
I knew that. I said I was on minute restriction, so I was in and out. I really didn't get many attempts. For me, I'm not going to get plays running for me, so and I don't handle the ball enough to get enough assists. So points and rebounds are up in the air type of thing. Some games you're going to get shots, some games you're not. Assists, I might get them if I throw it to Joel, but if I don't handle the ball and we don't push the pace, we don't have pace, I'm not going to get many assists. I might get a hockey assist or something like that. So I have to rely on, make sure getting steals and blocks and rebounds in that category. When you're on the perimeter guarding guards and chasing guys at the three-point line, you have to be a little more active and running into the paint more and trying to get those rebounds or those long rebounds. But yeah, I do know that after the game, Joel was yelling for me, Danny Green. And he was trying to show me the stat. And I'm like, bro, he goes, you made history today. I'm like, bro, what? He's like, I said, I know I got a rebound or a steal today. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I did. They just didn't have it on there. But, they also pulled up stats of what you have to have a certain amount of minutes. There was like an opener. I think I did it in 18 or 19 minutes in the season opener. But, there's always times where you have to look back to figure out, all right, when did I know I got a rebound. I know I picked the ball up at some point. There's got to be a steal there or a rebound there. And a lot of times I don't like to go to the statistician and be like, yo, I know y'all missed me on a rebound or y'all missed me on a steal or block. But this time I had to. And they were like, Joe's like, no, we're going to make sure we get you in the books for something. We're going to find it. And before the plane even landed, Eli, shout out to our video guy, he found the steal that they sent it in and they reversed it and gave me the steal so I didn't have zeros all across the board. Mind you, yes, I do need to be more active. I do need to be better. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes those games happen in the flow of the game. But my impact, as we discussed, and my teammates, they let me know and they back me on this, is on the defense end of the floor. The stat that I look at, the biggest for me is the plus minus. And that game was a minus. I did not like that. But, I have to impact the game and be more effective or more active on defense end of the floor by getting steals and blocks and then trying to get some rebounds and just playing and guarding my guy and causing some chaos. But, hopefully no more of those. Hopefully we don't get close to any more of those throughout the rest of the season.
It led to you unblocking Worldwide Wob, a popular personality on NBA Twitter, who I actually met this summer. Really nice guy, and actually went to UNC. I had no idea y'all had beef.
I didn't know that either.
Must have been out of pocket at some point.
Probably. I don't remember what it was. It was probably some tweet. Anything negative on my page, I just block or delete. So I didn't know he went to Carolina, but we did come to a truce, and we shook on it via Twitter. and we're in good on good terms right now.
Speaking of Carolina, this past weekend, because you guys have had games so spread out, you went back to Chapel Hill, a place that I went to once on a spectacular trip to help you celebrate that 2009 national championship. You went back. What was the best moment? I know you have a bunch of them. What was the best moment of being back for that game?
Oh, it was love, man. Just being celebrated, seeing Coach Williams, being celebrated. It's hard to pick one. Being celebrated by the fans. They're honoring the scholarship. People just being thankful, seeing some of my old teammates there, catching up with some of my guys at one of the teammates' house and eating dinner. That was probably most fun part was hanging out with those guys. Then also I got a chance to talk to the locker room, talk to some young guys. I understand what it's like being in college. I was once there. I know they listen to their coaches, but they don't really understand. And sometimes coming from me, it may be different. And I told them if they ever need anything, don't be afraid to reach out. Some of those guys I keep up with, some of those guys were there on their visits when I was there to work out or play. So I was like, whenever you need to talk or something, I said, I know how it gets. I know how frustrating it can be, or what's going through your mind of being a student, an athlete, and also a son, the pressure that you might have. So you know how to find me. Here's my line. Here's my social media. But it was a great time, man. They got a big win, which was more important. They got the win. I didn't want to be any bad luck. So it was a good game. It was a big win that they needed.
When we come back with Inside the Green Room, we have to talk about it. There's been a lot of chatter. NBA Reddit, NBA Twitter, podcasts, TV shows, radio. What happens with Ben Simmons? What happens with Tobias Harris? I'll give my thoughts, and hopefully Danny will chime in after we go to break. The trading deadline is February 10th, coming closer and closer for teams around the league, and particularly the 76ers, with a number of players who could be on the trading market, particularly Ben Simmons. We'll talk about him in a moment. I want to get to Tobias Harris first, Danny. It's been a rough season for him, shooting under 30% from three. Obviously, he misses Ben. And we kind of talked about this last week, but it must be a difficult time for him, and maybe you could peel back the curtain a bit, because he's trying to perform well, and then there's another expectation for him to perform up to his contract, which is the status of a maximum level player. Mm-hmm. I already told you how I felt about Tobias Harris's game. I thought he was an elite tertiary, secondary scorer. I don't know if he's a superstar, which people think that's what a maximum player should be. It must just... I don't blame him for signing the contract. I don't blame him because I think he's trying to play to his best capabilities.
For sure.
How do you evaluate the discourse around him, his performance, and things of that nature?
Like you said, man, people, we're humans at the end of the day. We all want to do great. We all want to perform up to our contracts. We want to do well. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way every year. And unfortunately, not every situation is set up for us to succeed that way or do that. I'm not saying that his isn't or mine isn't, but sometimes the flow of things, adjustments, or people missing, or players not playing, or people being traded or being out, can have a huge effect on how guys play, especially the previous season. End of the day, said we are human and we have feelings, and certain things get to us. Some things bother us, some things don't. And when certain small things trickle in, might leave something in him where it might be more added pressure or more added thinking to when he's playing out there, instead of just playing like he normally does. But he's a very mentally headstrong guy. He's not a mental like a guy that's not like mentally tough. He has tough skin. So, but end of the day, he said he still wants to play well. We all want to play well. He's doing his best. He's working his tail off, trying to find his rhythm, and I think he's building rhythm and finding his game a little bit more now that we're having pretty much some more guys back. But we have more of a momentum going. We get more pace. He's able to get out and running and just be more confident. As long as we stay confident in him, he's gonna be confident himself. He's always gonna be confident himself, but it helps when you have your teammates behind your back and encouraging you. So. So it's just a lot, man. He has a lot on his shoulders with him and Joel. They look to be the two main guys, and of course we have Seth now, but they look to be the two main guys that carry his franchise. Which so they signed all three of them together, and I'm sure they feel like it's a little unfair. I'm sure a lot of people are seeing it's a little unfair, or maybe he's feeling that. But either way, he comes in, he doesn't complain, he does his job, and he tries to do it with the best of his abilities, and continue to keep doing that. And he's going to find ways to help us win games at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing for him to be going through, this the struggles because we saw Furkan Korkmaz went through struggles earlier this year and now he's playing well. But when you
Hmm.
don't play well during this period of time, during like this trade deadline chatter season, it adds another element to it. Speaking of trade deadline, day after day after day after day, we're going to hear reports and trade rumors about Ben Simmons. I would say, Danny, that is according to what's out there, and we don't even know what's true because you know how it gets
Hmm.
this time of year. I've tweeted it. Some Sixers fans have chimed back in. I do not feel as if what is out there is worth the Sixers trading Ben Simmons. I don't think anything that's out there would actually elevate you guys to that other tier that some people would love the team to get to.
I agree with what's available. I don't think people are making available what we can get in return for that trade. Um, so I say keep him. But you said I don't think we're wasting the year. But you don't want a year of where you could possibly be a contender, but you're not because of one guy sitting out. So you want to try to explore that option, and it's tough. It's hard to find the value in bringing something in and something back. Also, they're talking about trades with everybody. Everybody else's name is in the mix. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's possible or if it even will happen. A lot of us just talk, and some people pull the trigger and get in panic, before the deadline. So you never know what's going to happen. You'll see some interesting things that happen before the cutoff. But I agree with you. I just don't think there's anything out there that's available that you'll get back in value or close to what we need to be the contender that we want to be with him. So I think Daryl Morey is smart in playing the long game and hoping and seeing, at the deadline or after deadline that he may come back. He may have to come join us. I don't think he'll take a full loss on a year. If he does, that's on him. He's strong. You know, I guess he's got more than we can account for saved and can take a hit better than we accounted for and has more pride than we accounted for. So, I mean, it's only up to him really. But I think Daryl plays a long game and gets what he wants in return, or keeps him and tries to make it work or make him after All-Star break kind of figure it out.
I mean, Ben Simmons has been voted to the All-Star team by the coaches. You have played with him. You understand how good he is. To take a player that is not at his caliber just doesn't seem like it's worth the investment if it doesn't really move the needle for you guys. Because again, I've watched you guys all year. You guys have competed with Brooklyn. You've competed with Chicago. I wouldn't put you as the favorites against Brooklyn, but as presently constructed, without you guys still having the continuity that you want, you're still very impressive how you guys have played this year. So I don't know if I know Daryl was on local Philly radio earlier this year and said it might take 4 years. That might be out of pocket, might be pushing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be taking too much.
Seatbelts on. But I agree with you.
You got to be smart.
I don't think anybody wants to face this in 7-game series. I think I like what we have. We have good potential. We're a good team. But yes, we are a lot better team with him and with that value, or what we can use with that value. So it's a tough decision. That's why I'm not in that hot seat. I'm not in that office. I don't need to make those calls, but I'm sure we'll see within the month.
Almost time to go home, and later this week, Danny will be going to Florida. The 76ers take on the Miami Heat on Saturday. Sunday, the Eagles are in Tampa Bay taking on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the reigning Super Bowl champions. Danny, you got a little leverage, I would think.
Yeah, a little bit.
You think about making a move to Tampa Bay after the game in Miami? Can you pull that off?
I'm sure if we really wanted to, we probably could. Will we? I think guys would rather stay in Miami and watch it on TV. But we haven't discussed it as a group. But if there were some guys, not a lot of guys on our team are from Philly. Guys have football teams. They have teams from where they're from and other teams. So, but we do still support the Eagles regardless. But we'll see when we have that discussion. We could pull it off, but I highly doubt guys would leave Miami to go to Tampa. We did play in Tampa last year because that's where Toronto was. It was a nice city, but we don't know if it's comparable to MIA.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how much of the Eagles fan contingent will make it down there for a game where they are now, at least as of this recording, 8.5-point underdogs. I have them losing, and I have them losing by. I have the Bucks laying 8 because it's Tom Brady. Speaking of Tom Brady, at his age, he could be MVP. At LeBron James' age, he's probably not going to be MVP because the Lakers aren't good. But man, is LeBron James good? His numbers are out of control. Last 11 games, 34, 9-6, dropping dimes, dunking. You got to play with LeBron 2 times in your career. 1 time in Cleveland, 1 time in Los Angeles. All right, Danny, give it to us. What is the secret sauce? What's in that water bottle, bro?
I don't know, man. The Space Jam juice. He was the lead in Space Jam this past year. He must have found Mike's secret juice. He is playing at an unbelievably high level at his age, which is unheard of. He's not slowing down. Obviously, his explosiveness, but his IQ is what makes him the best player in the world because of his size and athleticism. But even when he may not jump as high or be as fast, he still has it. But his IQ, able to figure out defense and study defenses and offenses of how to guard them and how to attack them. And said he's knocking down a shot, getting to the free throw line, making free throws, and he's just a winner. End of the day, he's gonna do whatever it takes and find whatever it takes to win the game, and that brings out the best in him and trying to win. So when his team is down this year, he's had to carry a lot of the load. He's gonna make the winning plays. He's gonna get rebounds. He's gonna attack. He's gonna try to take over the game. And it's crazy to see, even at 37, he's still able to do so. But it's a lot harder. He's gonna need more help, and that's why they're struggling a little bit. I won't say a lot more help, but it just needs different type of help. I think just the chemistry, the system, the fit is great help, but it just doesn't fit each other well.
Yeah, it's been absolutely something to marvel at. The way he's shooting the 3 ball is amazing. So Tom Brady and LeBron James really setting new standards for how you can perform at certain ages. When we come back next week on the SiriusXM Podcast Network and YouTube, you can subscribe, rate, and review. The Eagles might be out of the playoff mix, Danny, which means the temperature turns up just a little bit more for the 76ers.
Maybe so, but
deadline.
I got them winning, man. So I'm putting my money on them winning. I think they're gonna be a sleeper. They're gonna get that dub.
Smart answer. We'll see y'all guys next week.